From beating blast processing in 10,000 clicks to make 230 frame perfects in a row. These are most impressive records that no one will ever break in Geometry Dash. So let's start! The first record is the largest skill decrease in the history of Geometry Dash, and I probably don't need to tell anyone here that it's about one of the TCD members, Konix. So on July 15, 2022, Konix posted a video on his channel in which he passed VSC, and many believe that it is even harder than Slaughterhouse, which was top 2 at the time Konix beated it, but after that he didn't post anything on his channel for a really long time, which means that he probably didn't play Geometry Dash at all at that time. He only came back recently and he passed really difficult levels such as Blunders, but in my opinion it is the largest skill decrease in the history of this game. And speaking of skill decrease, we definitely can't say the same thing about this guy. I'm talking about Eduardo, who completed almost invisible Slaughterhouse. Almost, because he was using opacity 0.03, but let's be honest, do you see anything besides the icon? Because I don't. And this can be due to two reasons. Either I'm blind or my room is too bright. So I don't have any visual impairment, so it's probably too bright in my room, but I really don't know how this guy did it, and it's really one of the biggest achievements. I wonder what would happen if I showed this video to someone in 2016. Crazy. So, since I talk about Purel in every video of this series, this one cannot be missing it. So, this is the record for the most wave carried players of all time, and Purel is not here without a reason. He is one of the best wave spammers in the world. Among other things, he made Soul Grid in only 5 runs. And if you don't know what Soul Grid is this spam at Sakupen end. Or he made a jump from Sonic Wave to Sakupen Circus, and I remind you that both of these levels are mainly wave. The next record is the biggest change after turning on low detail mode, and you probably immediately thought of levels like Thinking Space 2 or Cosmos Unleashed, but no, these levels don't even come close to it. I'm talking about What, which is truly one of the most game-breaking levels, and was created by one of the most outstanding creators, Spoonix. But after turning the low detail mode, the decorations of this level changed as if it was a level from update 1.8. I really have no idea how Spoonix did it, but if anyone knows, please write in the comments. In the previous video, I talked about a guy who completed 9 circles while playing his song on the piano, and it was really impressive, but what this guy did really equals him. So a player named Cuber beat all the main levels and solved the Rubik's Cube at the same time. Solving the Rubik's Cube itself is a huge achievement, but while completing a demon, it's really impressive, and he also did it on a laptop, which increases the difficulty of this challenge. Update, he completed B, so congratulations. The next record took 11 years, and it's not a verification of Sorry Never Clear, which took about that long. This is the level that was rated for the longest time. Time over. This is the name of this level, and it was released 4,287 days ago in update 1.5. It's really crazy that Roblox is still rating levels that were made years ago. The next record is for the day that changed Geometry Dash forever. It is October 29, 2021. On this day, 3 levels were rated that changed this game forever: Slaughterhouse, Firework, and Arcturus. Each of them was more difficult than the previous one, which was Tartarus. They were quickly put on the demon list, and thanks to this we also have the record for the longest level that was top 1. I'm talking about Firework, which was top 1 for 70 seconds, and just really the most revolutionary day in the entire history of this game. I would even say it was a more revolutionary day than the fall of Rome, but that's just my opinion. The next record is the biggest surprise, and it is for the normal rating. I really don't know if Roblox went crazy back then, but in my opinion the normal should never have been rated, and you will probably ask why. In my opinion, it's just a challenge, not an insane demon. The next record is dancing to the full Geometry Dash demon list. Someone did it, his name on YouTube is Alex, and the video where he dances to the entire demon list lasts 5 hours. I really have no idea how he managed to do that for 5 hours, but I wish him all the best. The next record is the hardest level anyone has ever passed on Deathlink, and if you don't know what Deathlink is, you play Geometry Dash with 1 or more people, and when one person dies, everyone dies. And the hardest level is Slaughterhouse, which was beaten by Popov and Trick. Really, that's one of the biggest achievements because Slaughterhouse is now top 25, and at the time they passed it, it was top 9, which just shows how much skill gap there is between top 1 and easier levels. And since we're talking about the biggest skill gap between top 1 and easier levels, you're probably wondering what the biggest one is between top 1 and top 2. But it's really hard to say, because some people think it's from Tidal Wave to Thinking Space 2, others say it's from to Can't Let Go, but in my opinion it's from Acheron or Avernus to Tidal Wave. Another record is for the biggest level comeback in likes. I'm talking about Can't Let Troll, which according to my information had about 10,000 dislikes at its peak, but over 10 years have passed since then, and now has over 100,000 likes. But let's think why it has so many dislikes, and it's probably because people thought that this level was impossible, and that the person who's and that And that person who verified it simply cheated. So you probably know that spamming in Geometry Dash is one of the most important things, but what this player did takes it to a new level. So the player YW Chaos passed blast processing in as many as 3,500 clicks, which is a huge achievement and it is a world record. At least it was, until the player Defend did it in over 10,000 clicks. And since blast processing lasts 1 minute and 39 seconds, this gives us an average of as many as 102 clicks per second. And as we were talking about the YW Chaos, he may not have the record for the most clicks in blast processing, but he does have the record for the most frame perfect in a row. But before I tell you that, leave a like, sub and hype. So he did 230 60 FPS frame perfects in a row. For comparison, Tidal Wave has 200 frame perfects and Grief has only a little more. The next record is for the highest number of FPS, and you probably know that to play harder levels you need to have at least above 60 FPS. But this guy probably took it too seriously. So a player called Reese posted a video 2 months ago in which he tried to beat world record for the highest FPS. He got about 5,000, and it might seem like a lot, but after a few minor tweaks, he had over 46 million FPS! It's so high that the population of Argentina is that high, or the number of people who watch and don't subscribe. The next record is beating Stereo Madness 10,000 times. So a player called MavGenius took on this challenge, and according to Wiki, he spent over 200 hours and almost 12,000 attempts on it. But according to the Wiki, he only beaten it over 8,800 times. And I also haven't found any videos of him doing 10,000, except for the one where he did 750 times. So I think this information is true. But 8,000 is still an amazing result. It is also worth noting that in memory of Michigan, he made a 5-hour stream in which he jumped over 10,000 times over a triple spikes. You probably know Retry. It's the most liked level in the entire game, and one of the easiest. Some people set records for who would complete it in the fewest clicks, but that's not the point today. A player named LPS Lakome beat the Retry at 2000% speed, which is 20 times faster than normal. He wrote that it took him 7,820 attempts, and when I tried to complete it at that speed, I couldn't even reach the ball, which starts at 27%. And you'll probably tell me now that he did it at 4,000% speed, but just as I can't believe in 2000%, I can't believe in 4000. The next record was set by Purel, and he already has a lot of records, so you're probably wondering what the record it is. It's a silent lock 18%, and it might not seem very difficult, but if you look closely, you can see that it's caused by a mini portal skip, which allowed him to do his already very difficult wave even on normal wave. By the way, silent lock is on the 383rd place on the impossible demon list. For comparison, Tidal Wave is 951st, and Thinking Space 2 is 859th. The next record is for jumping over the most triple spikes in a row, and you honestly won't believe how many this player did from the start. The triple spike is both the easiest and hardest obstacle in this game. It appears in the easiest main levels and also at the end in the hardest ones. But how many times has someone jumped it in a row? A player named Drew Jardy jumped 470 triple spikes in a row, which is a world record. There's also a guy who did 500, but there's no clicking noise in his video, and there is no cheat indicator, so I can't confirm whether it's real or not. The next record belongs to SpaceUK, which is a record that probably no one will break. You're probably wondering what kind of record it is. This is being a detectable cheater for over 2 years. And he doesn't even use undetectable ways to cheat, he just uses Zbot. And as I read, Zbot is a popular, free, cross-platform Geometry Dash replay bot, used to record, play and share gameplay macros. But in my opinion, SpaceUK is one of the best things that happened to Geometry Dash, because players are more concerned about whether someone is cheating or not, and will probably never let such a scandal happen again. And speaking of SpaceUK, Slaughterhouse. This is one of the levels that SpaceUK has cheated on, but this time we are not talking about what SpaceUK did, but what Pop-Pop did. Because Pop-Pop beat Slaughterhouse 3 times in a row, as if it was Stereo Madness for him or some other simple level, and in my opinion, it will never be beaten, and if it is, it won't be anytime soon. The next record is more ridiculous than impressive, and it belongs to the level called Firework. After 234,000 attempts, Trick finally verified the Firework, and it was the new top 1 for a very long time. 17 seconds. That's how long Firework was in top 1. Only 17 seconds. Firework was top 1 for only 17 seconds. And it's thanks to SpaceUK who verified Slaughterhouse in similar time, which is more difficult than Firework. And then Raptor rated 3 levels at the same time. Firework, Slaughterhouse and Arcturus. All were potential new top 1s. Another record is complete domination by Skeletal Shenanigans. This level became such a huge success that in less than a year it gained almost twice as many likes and downloads as the previous most popular medium demon, which is Nintendo. As of the time I'm recording this, Skeletal Shenanigans has 37 million downloads and 1.7 million likes. The next record is the level with the lowest number of objects. This level was created by Quok and it's called List, and it has only 16 objects. This is what the whole level looks like. It doesn't have much to offer except avoiding repetitive sounds, and it lasts a minute, but in my opinion there will probably never be a level like this that will be rated. The next record is Chomp Step 90%, and you're probably wondering what's so hard about this level. It's just a regular club step. The problem is that for every club step monster that appears in this level, there is a 1 in 2 chance that the club step monster will kill you, and the guy who did 90% on it had about 1 in a 500 million chance of making it. So this record is probably a permanent world record. The next record is the biggest fluke in the entire game. A player called Scarro made a fluke on the Erebus with a 0%. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, this player simply has 0% on the level and passed it immediately after that. To show how difficult this achievement is, I can say that Erebus is a level that is currently in the top 579 on RL. Levels like Bloodbath or Sakuman Hell are easier than it. The next record is set by a player called Sven Player TV. He completed the Bloodbath 1000 times as if it was nothing to him. The whole thing took him 28 days, and here is his reaction to completing it 1000 times.
We did it! Oh my gosh!
The longest 2.1 level is timeless by Physiological, lasting negative 2 billion seconds, and to complete it you have to wait 136 years. But why 2 billion seconds? Couldn't it be longer? No, because Geometry Dash is most likely a 32-bit game, and the previously mentioned number is 2 of the power of 31, which is the maximum number for a 32-bit system. The biggest jump in history is the jump from Bloodbath Z to the top 10, which is Firewall. The creator named Breeze took on this challenge, and 2 years ago, after over 500,000 attempts, he passed Firewall, and it is the biggest jump in the history of this game because Bloodbath Z is a medium demon and Firewall was top 10 at the time he passed it. Another record is Robtop's comment, which received over 2.4 million likes, and you probably think that this comment was incredibly revolutionary for this game or that it brought something great. I didn't think so because I know that Robtop is a bit of a troll and the content of this comment is as follows. Like or dislike this comment, it will add 10 likes either way. Checkmate. Unfortunately, I don't know if what he wrote works because I probably liked his comment a few years ago, but you can't write in the comment whether it works. The most stars you could get in a single level was 127, but how the f could that be done? It was due to a hacker who made his own levels and rated them himself, and you didn't have to do almost anything to them, and some of them were even tiny, but there were a lot of these levels, and thanks to this, players could get up to 1000 stars in a few minutes, and one of them was called Korv. Korv means sausage in Swedish, but how do I know that? I watched Stormfly video about this. But how did he do it? In short, this hacker obtained a link that allowed him to rate every level for every star on every difficulty, and he set as a record for stars for one level that will never be broken. The highest price in the store for an item was 100,000 for the music customizer. I seriously don't know how the f Robtop came up with that price. Later in the update 2.201, Robtop introduced discounts and now it costs 40,000 ore, but this only proves that Robtop will never make such an expensive item in the store again. The next record is set by Zoink, who simply dominated the game. On January 14, 2022, he became the top 1 player, overtaking SpaceUK, meaning he even beat Cheater. I personally thought he wouldn't be top 1 for long, but he's been top 1 for over 4 years. He's the second person after Elswish to complete the entire main list, which is the 75 most difficult levels in the game. Currently, he dominates the demon list so much that he has about 2,700 points ahead of the second player, W Popo. And if you don't know what points are, as you beat increasingly difficult levels, you get more points. For example, there are 350 for top 1 and about 200 for top 10. This is truly no small achievement. Unless Zoink suddenly leaves the game like Elswish, no one will beat him. The next record is set by the player Footman, and it's hard to say, the hardest level that one beat with their foot. Nie mogę. On January 27, 2025, this player managed to beat Windy Landscape with their foot. And in my opinion, no one is crazy enough to beat something harder like this. Like, what the fuck? The next record is beating an extreme demon without practice rounds. Yes, you heard right, without practice rounds. Most players probably won't be able to do a medium demon without it, but some players are so advanced that it is easy for them. I found 3 videos of completing these extreme levels. There's a video of Purel, Diamond and Multiverse GD. They all completed these levels without practice runs. Diamond passed Precipitance, which is 1351 errand. Multiverse passed Stellana, which is 1067, and Purel passed Sonic Wave Rebirth, which is 308 on errand. And here you can easily conclude that Purel completely dominated it. completing a level that is much more difficult than these two. Unfortunately, no, because he previously completed Sonic Wave using practice runs, which apart from the decorations is practically the same as Sonic Wave Rebirth, and that's why Multiverse GT wins. The next record is the highest heart rate, which is really dangerous. A player named Endcliff has a truly alarmingly high heart rate. For example, a month ago on the moment, he had a whopping 216, or on VTT2 when he achieved 91%, he had a whopping 229, but probably no one will ever beat what he did on the Hot Rod. 5 months ago, on August 10, 2025, he posted a video in which he beat an extreme demon called Hot Rod. After beating it, everything was normal, his heart rate was around 140, but see for yourself what happened a minute later. Yes, a 232 heart rate. That heart rate occurs among other things during panic attacks or intensive exercise, but aside from being dangerous, it's a new record that I hope no one will ever break. The next record is the truly weirdest pass of the Deathlink. It is one of the main levels in this game, and if you know how to spam, you can achieve what Purel did. So, in this obstacle on the mini-wave, there is a gap that can be passed using, among other things, the mini-wave. Purel did it, and in addition to that, he made many swaggers that destroyed my brain. Like, what the fuck is that? In general, Purel is one of the most wave-carried players. Just look what he did on Sakumanen. Or for example, he did a jump from Sonic Wave to Sakumen Circles. And I would like to mention that both of these levels are mainly wave. And the next record is the most iconic reaction, and there are 3 candidates for that. Riot, who beat Bloodbath, Novel Boy, who did 98% on blunders, and me for beating Cataclysm. But if you thought about any of them, you are very wrong, because the reaction I'm talking about is so iconic that even PewDiePie, who has 110 million subscribers, has seen it, and is best reaction to verify kilos. You could also include the reaction of Total GD at 82% on Sakumen Circles, which is also one of the most iconic ones. But Tempesta is still more iconic. And getting back to Total GD, he has a record that's so stupid, it's laughable. You probably know his reaction to 82% on unnerfed Sakumen Circles. He died because he chose the harder part of the ship. But what he did a few years ago is truly humiliating, because he died a second time on the same part, and he did 83%. Like, he couldn't just go down with that ship. It's comparable to falling on the last part of Getting Over It, where you're actually constantly going up. This part is so easy that me, whose hardest is Cataclysm, did it 3 times in a row. Update, he finally did it, and congratulations. But moving away from Total GD and easy part, I will present you a level that has only difficult parts. This is of course VSC, which stayed on top 1 challenge for over 3 years. But this is not the record yet. It is the record of a guy called Neil. Or Nev? I don't know. But he passed it twice in a row, and it is a level so difficult that some people think it is harder than Slaughterhouse. The next record is set by a player called White14, who beat Extreme Demon at 30 FPS. He beat Allegiance, which is harder than Cataclysm or Asu. And many people might say it wasn't very impressive because he was using CBS, but when I tried to rebeat Cataclysm at 30 FPS with CBS, I thought that I was going to throw my computer out of the window. And speaking of weird ways to beat Extreme Demons, Doggy beat Asu 4 years ago during lunch at school. Yes, you heard right. It took him over 2000 attempts, and that's really impressive because most people probably wouldn't even beat an Asu normally. And speaking of Doggy, he got another record, and it's not about persistence, about verifying grip. It's the record for the most blazed Geometry Dash player. I've honestly never seen anything like that from anyone. Yes, Doggy is one of the best players, but no, after grip there's no chance he will verify our turns. In my opinion, after all, Zoink is the better player. Another record is for being undetectable cheater for the longest time, and it's not SpaceUK as I said in the previous video. He's Wargame, if you don't know him by name, is the guy who blindly completed all the main levels, but it turned out that he used clever methods for cheating, such as passing a normal level without being blind, passing it to a blind completion, which can be noticed among other things by the corners of his screen, or his hands switching to the other one. There are really a lot of it, but TriplePKHD showed all or most of his methods for cheating in his video. The next record is getting the most stars in 24 hours, but before I tell you that, leave a like, sub and hype. So a player called GD Cloud got as many as 5,850 stars in 24 hours, which beats the previous world record by about 300 stars. And to give you an idea how much it is the completion of 585 demons or about 1000 hardened levels, which is really crazy. And since we were talking about cheese, well, we weren't talking about cheese, but it's related with another record, which is the longest platformer level. Top 10,000 cheese. It's so long that a YouTuber called Sims beat it in over 28 hours, and the name of the level says it all. It's 10,000 rooms, each with a cheese team. I honestly don't know how someone built it, but these people really like cheese. Another record is completing Bloodbath as the first level. Yes, someone did it. This dude's name is Kingman. It took him 57 trips and over 130,000 attempts, and in the video there is a hint that his next level will be Bloodbath. Oh, and here's his reaction.
Yes! Yes! Yes!
The next record is a rated level that was created by 14,000 people. The entire project was created by one of the most popular creators, SpaceUK. I know many people will tell me now that he created a level that was created by 45,000 people, but surprisingly it's not rated. This level is a complete mess and looks like recent final boss, but it's an extreme demon and it's one of the largest projects in the entire game. Speaking of the biggest projects, you probably heard about the upcoming top 1, Heliopolis. Is a mega collab hosted by one of the most brilliant creators. I'm talking about Minecraft, who hosted levels like Limbo and Every End. But that's not the point, we're talking about the largest bunch for completing a level. $10,000! It is the number of money for completing Heliopolis. In the whole history of Geometry Dash, I've never ever seen this amount of money for completing one level. Players are currently racing to see who verifies it first. And there are 3 best candidates for that. Abdul Devil, who has a run from 38 to 97, Garbage, who did 37%, and Lassery, who has a run from 48 to 100. I'm really curious when this level will be verified, but my guess is June 14th. And you're probably wondering why that day. I don't really know. Another record is the worst buff for level, and I don't mean the buffs on Grief, which are huge. I'm talking about this huge black spot on Cosmos Unleashed. What is it anyway? I don't know what Airshadow had in mind when he came up with this. He really could have buffed it in many other ways. This buff is so horrible that dozens of memes have been created about it. In the previous video I talked about a player who completed Windy Landscape with his foot, and I said there that no one is crazy enough to do something more difficult. Whoa! How wrong was I? The same guy called Footman is now completing Asu with his foot! I really don't know what this guy has in mind, but he's already done 71% and I wish him the best of luck. The next record is the Zoink record, and it probably won't surprise you that it's a difficult level, but what he did is really amazing. So he passed the Graceful, which is currently top 106 on the demon list, but after passing it, he tried to pass it for the second time in a row, and surprisingly, he succeeded. As he himself mentions in the description of his video, he made a fluke from 80% to 250 because he tried to pass it for the third time, but only managed to do 50%, which is still crazy. The next record is a top 1 pass record, and you probably don't know him, but he's a person who made over 2.1 million attempts on Tidal Wave. Unfortunately, there are no records of his trips, so I can't tell you how many he had, but he made runs like 55 to 100 or 35%. And the number of these attempts may be due to the fact that his previous hardest was Crystal, which is around the top 650 on Demon list. And when he tried to beat Tidal Wave, it was still top 1. The next record is the record for the biggest comeback in history, so you probably know SpaceUK. But if you don't know him, in short, he is the biggest cheater this game has ever seen. He was top 1 for a long time, but it turned out that he used one of the simplest cheating methods, which is macro, and this is related. His hardest level was Acheron. He was the first victor of this level, so after this whole scandal, he came back and beat Acheron 3 months ago, which shows that he really has skill. And if he had played more before, he could be a legit top player today. I'm still curious what would have happened if no one had ever exposed him. The next record is for the level that took the longest to be verified, and it's not Unnerved Sequel Circus or Silent Clubstep. According to my information, the View channel, this level took only a few days longer to be verified than Unnerved Sequel Circus, and it's Unnerved Sequel Hell. This level is almost no different from regular Sequel Hell, but it has one change that made players not want to play it. It is the last part, that has impossible spam, and I must surprise you because I lied to you. This is not the longest verification in history. The longest verification is Sorry Never Clear, which took almost 11.5 years. The next record is the record for the scariest level, and you could think of a few levels, for example Lost Locket, which is a scary version of the normal Deathlink, or Back on Track. But those levels don't even come close to this level. This level is so scary that most people who tried to complete it ended up in a mental hospital. Okay, maybe not, but I have to say it to make it more dramatic. The level I am talking about lasts over 6 hours and is called Everywhere at the End of Time. Another ridiculous record is completing a level while playing a song from that level on the piano. Yes, you heard right. A lot of people actually do that, and they mostly complete main levels like Jumper or Stereo Madness, but a player called GTX Piano really takes it to another level. So he started uploading videos about it on his YouTube channel 3 months ago. And he completed Skeletal Shenanigans or I Spy with My Little Eye, but it's not even comparable to his hardest, which is Night Circus. This man is truly amazing, like what the fuck?
fuck?
Subscribe, like and hype.